Endgame. Abu Malik Asadi was called Kamel by his friends in Special Forces. Abu's nickname came from Mustafa Kemal Bey, who had defeated the British at Gallipoli by correctly anticipating where they would land, could barely drive his Toyota Land Cruiser home. Kamel had a Turkish cigarette in his right hand and let the coal burn his finger to keep awake. He was in a zombie-like state where it hurt to stay awake. The Israelis had detonated a pulse bomb last night over Iran using a nuclear device in outer space, creating an electromagnetic surge that knocked out all communication as well as the electrical grid nationwide. Not even the cell phones worked. As head of Iranian Special Forces and director of Special Operations, he had been up all night jury-rigging a communication system. This pulse bomb was a new improved version of the one the Israeli Air Force had dropped to start the war with their attack on the nuclear facilities. He was done now and wanted to get back to his flat outside of Bandar Abbas. This new and improved electromagnetic pulse bomb had been a real hard blow. After Israel had bombed the nuclear facilities they had so carefully been building, the Mossad had sent in special teams of agents who, along with airdropped Sten guns, grenades, rocket launchers, flamethrowers and gold, had succeeded in sparking an uprising of the population in about 1/3 of the country, and the rebels had been consistently gaining ground. The Islamic Republic was hanging on by its fingernails. The true believers and those who owed their jobs to the government still had the morale to fight, but it was getting harder to rally the faithful. Only a few of the true believers still had in their eye the gleam of a beast of prey. Abu was a student of history, so he had created a plan after the first pulse bomb to deal with the loss of their communication system. They would revert to World War I methods. He had stockpiled and stored Vespers and other small motorbikes and bicycles with lists of delivery service employees, as well as middle and long distance runners. Communication would be done by courier delivering coded messages. In fact, it might be a blessing of Allah, since there would be no electronic transmission. It would be virtually impossible to penetrate the system unless the courier was captured and tortured. His staff had given each courier cyanide capsules to ensure silence. Kemal had been up all night starting with the first members of the system and getting it off the ground. It was up and running. The army could talk to its units. Now, as he drove in, he opened the door to his basement apartment, closed the deadbolts and lunged for his bed. Feeling the first waves of sleep starting to flow over, then submerging his body. He did not know how long he had slept. He was dreaming of a thin, bronze-skinned lady walking toward him on the beach, when a sharp rapping on the door brought his body to full consciousness. He always slept with one eye open. He turned and flicked his Bic lighter to light his kerosene lantern and briefly glanced at his loaded AK-47 on the floor by his bed. He decided he did not need it as he approached the steel door of his apartment. He looked through the wide-vision peephole in the door and saw a young man, one of his runners with Adidas on, waiting for the door to open. Kemal opened the door and the runner handed in an envelope. "You will wait to see if I need to send a response," Kemal said, motioning the younger runner towards his kitchen and pointing him to a chair where he pointed to direct him to sit. Kemal sat directly across from the runner at the kitchen table. Under the table were 2 items in a Velcro pouch glued to the underside, a code book and a loaded Webley .455 revolver. Even though these men had been selected by his staff, it could be an Israeli assassin, but since the runner was in shorts, tank top and Adidas, it was unlikely. But he wanted the pistol in reach. Kemal pulled out the cipher and decoded the message. It was short. "You are to come to Army Headquarters as soon as possible for briefing on a special assignment. Advise when you will be able to attend." It was signed Amin al-Husseini, Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Kemal knew it would take 15 minutes to code the response. "Please make a pot of coffee while you wait," he asked the runner before opening his code book. Kemal reminded himself that he would have to send a directive to order that the codes were changed weekly without fail. The Germans had lost World War II because they failed to change their Enigma code, arrogantly thinking it was unbreakable. Kemal finished his reply and could smell the coffee emerging from the stove-top espresso maker that made 4 cups at a time.